Welcome to the Wake Up and Unleash podcast for women who've experienced success but are now in a frustrating plateau, feeling stuck and alone. For women who are ready to take their business to another level without sacrificing what matters most, our health, our family, and our sanity. So, through real discussions and raw dialogue, we'll share tools and strategies to break that plateau and unleash your power and fire so that you can crush it in business and in life. Here's your host, Karla Sandoval.
Hello, and welcome to the Wake Up and Unleash podcast. This is Karla Sandoval, your entrepreneur and leadership coach. Okay, guys, I have a question for you. Have you ever felt like so stuck and paralyzed and you don't know if you want to go right, you want to go left, you want to go back, you want to go forward? Like you feel so lost in the direction that you want to head to. So if you have ever felt that way, or maybe you're feeling that way now, this is a podcast for you. So this morning, actually not just this morning, for the last week or so, I have been in this, like, I don't know how to describe it. I've been like in this bubble or like in this, I don't know, I'm just going to say this bubble, okay? I've been in this bubble. If you've seen these, like those bubbles that people get into, like the children, and they push and they go in different directions. I have felt like I have been in one of those. And I'm just like, okay, why is this, like, let's just call it clear bubble? Why is it not going where I want it to go? Why is it not going in the direction I want it to go? And this has been the feeling that I've had. It's like I move, but it's like not going where I want it to go. And this morning, I know this is going to sound like, well, duh, okay, just bear with me here. This morning, I got this like revelation, if you will, inside my stack. And it was the only way to move forward is to actually move and to move forward. I feel so silly even just saying that. It's like, well, yeah, Karla. I'm like, I know, but here's the deal, right? So many times we want to go forward, but we're taking a step to the right. We want to go forward, but we're looking to the left. We want to go forward, but we're reminiscing about the past, okay? And it's like that is not going to serve us if the intention, the goal, the outcome that we're after is to go forward in anything, like go forward in your body, go forward in your relationship with God, go forward in your relationship with your significant other, your children, your coworkers, etc. Go forward with your business. If what we're wanting is to go forward, then what we must do is move and move forward. I hope that you're feeling what I'm trying to say, because when I wrote this, I was like, well, yeah, duh. But then I had this little voice in my head say, well, yeah, but the question is, although you know it, have you been doing it? Like, you know what it takes to move forward is to go forward. Why are you going to the right? Why are you looking to the left? Why are you reminiscing on the past? None of those things are going to allow you to go forward. If you're looking to the right, guess where you're going to go? You're going to go to the right. If you're taking a step backwards, you're going backwards. And I know this sounds like so simple, and it's like, well, yeah, but it's like these are the things that sometimes, these simple things are the things that many times paralyze us, keeps us stuck. Because the reality is we know what it takes to, for example, let's just say, okay, we know like the simplest thing, right? Everybody knows that to lose weight, yes, there's a lot of science and hormones and things and all the jazz, but for the most part, it's science. You move, you burn more calories than you consume, more out than in, and you're gonna lose weight. But the reality is, okay, so we know this, but how many times, I know I've been there, do we feel like, gosh, I just can't seem to lose weight. Gosh, this weight just doesn't come off. But the thing is, are we doing the things that are required to get the outcome that we're after? And, I think when we put it into that perspective, it's like, well, yeah, I know. Last week I ate I don't know, 2 slices of cheesecake. Well, and I didn't move all week. So yeah, I gained 5 pounds as an example, right? Versus, you know what? Last week I moved every single day. I hit my steps, I hit my cardio, I hit the weights or whatever your goal, whatever your ritual is. And I drank a lot of water and I watched what I was eating and I didn't do any excess of anything. And I lost 3 pounds, right? It's like, okay, 2 pounds because 1.5 is, anyway, you guys get me, okay? So that's the thing. Like we have to look at sometimes, okay, this is what I got this morning and I was like, oh my gosh, Karla, okay? By the way, I talk to myself a lot, okay? I was like, oh my gosh, Karla, yes. The reason why so many times we feel paralyzed, we feel stuck, is because we are not taking the actions that we know are necessary to take us to where we want to go. And now you might be thinking like, well, no, I don't know what I need to do. I don't know what actions I need to take. Okay, well, that's another conversation. But I would have to say 90% of us, 90+% of us, we know what we need to do to get the outcome we are after. We know what we need to stop doing to get the outcome that we're after. So knowing is not the challenge. It's are we doing the things that are necessary for us to get there? And the reality is most of us, let's be honest, are not. And the reason a lot of the times that we're not is for a lot of things. Number one, okay? This one's like, okay, we don't have a compelling reason. It's not our why. Our reason is not big enough to pull us to take the actions necessary that we need to take. For example, okay, going back to the weight loss, just because it's so easy, okay, to like everybody can relate. So let's say, God forbid, okay, but let's say you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, look, your cholesterol is through the roof, your blood pressure is through the roof, your diabetes is through the roof, everything is, your weight is through the roof. If you don't do something, you're gonna die. And here you have, I don't know, 5 beautiful children, a beautiful wife or a beautiful husband. You have a beautiful life that you don't want to see end. So guess what? That is going to be the reason, I hope, okay? It's going to be a really big reason why you say, you know what? No more. And you might even like open the cupboards, open your pantry and grab all the stuff that you know should not be in there, that doesn't serve you nor your children. And you start throwing it out. You're like, I don't care. I just bought this, I don't know, this bag of I don't know, chips. I'm throwing it out. I just bought this bag of, this thing of Oreos. I'm throwing it out. And you start making the necessary moves because your reason is big enough for you. And so many times, and I don't know why, especially me, okay? I do this a lot. So many times we won't take actions until we have our back against the wall. So many times we don't do what is necessary until we are like hit rock bottom. So many times we don't take action because we don't have we don't have that drive internally to say enough is enough. Okay, so I know I'm not the only one. I think most human beings, especially entrepreneurs, especially driven people, that like if you think about it, so many times it's like it's very rare that I'll hear somebody say, you know what, I was at the top of the mountain and I was like, I want to go to the next peak. And I just went to the next peak. Most of the time what happens is we get to the top of the mountain and it's like, okay, cool. Let me look at the view. This is really beautiful. Okay, I'm done. And we either maybe don't hit rock bottom again, but we like either A, cruise, B, get bored. Because here's the thing. What was once a goal, hear me out, okay? Hear me out on this. What was once a goal now becomes the norm. And when it becomes the norm, it becomes boring. And when it becomes boring, like we become like paralyzed, stagnant, flatline. And then guess what? We were like, okay, well, I need something else to motivate me. I need something else to push me. And many times what will happen is we will either create situations or put ourselves in situations where our back against the wall and we have no alternative but to just go, move. And you can't go anywhere but forward. Listen to what I'm saying. So many times we will create situations, we will put ourselves in like the situation, circumstances that we have our back against the wall. And guess what? The only way to get out of that is to move. And the only direction you can move is forward. Even if you go forward to the right, but you're going forward. Even if you're going forward to the left, but you're going forward. Or you're going forward straight, but you're going forward. Like when your back is against the wall, there is no other way out than forward. And that's why so many of us, okay, we will put ourselves in situations, we will create circumstances where the only thing we have or the only way out of it is to move forward. And so, it's such an unfortunate thing that we have to put ourselves in this situation. Last week, I was in Dana Point with my coach, and we were having this conversation, and he was saying this to everybody. And one of the things that he brought up, now granted, okay, he has been in business for decades. He has tons of experience coaching elite men. So when you are around so many people, for example, like Tony Robbins, I bet he doesn't have to wait to hit rock bottom. I bet he doesn't have to wait to put his back against the wall to move. Maybe in some direction, maybe in some circumstances, areas of his life, maybe, but I bet not in business. Why? Because he's been doing it for so long that he now knows how to get himself to do what's necessary by creating. This is what my coach said. He said, I create like situations in my head where I convince myself that I have my back against the wall. Where before I would create and then burn. I would create and then destroy so that I can then go again. He's like, but now, okay, because he's pretty successful. He's like, now I get myself to go by tricking my mind into scarcity, by tricking my mind into I'm at the rock bottom, by tricking my mind like I have my back against the wall. And because he said this, because I know that is what gets me to go, I trick myself to think that I'm in those circumstances without putting myself in those circumstances. He's like, and that's what gets me to go. And I thought about when he said that, I was like, first of all, wow, I never thought about that, okay? And second of all, I'm like, okay, I need to practice doing that. I need to practice getting my mind to think, because here's the thing, right? I think most people know this. Your mind does not know the difference between reality and fiction. Like you can tell your mind, whatever, and it doesn't know that you're just believing it. Like it thinks it's like real. It doesn't know the difference. Because in your mind, it's not going to be like, okay, like let's say I say like, oh my gosh, everybody hates me as an example. Or I'm in a room and I'm like, everyone's staring at me. And let's say nobody's even in the room. Nobody's even looking at you if they were in the room. But your mindset thinks that everyone's looking at you. It will create the chemicals, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions as if everybody was looking at you. Your mind is not going to say, no, Karla, no one's looking at you. Your mind will never argue with you. So knowing this, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to try that on. I need to try putting myself in an environmental, like my brain to think that I'm in an environment where I have hit rock bottom. I got to tell myself and I've got to trick myself to think my back is against the wall. Why? Because that is what has always got me, Karla E. Sandoval, to move. Anytime that I have really gone after something, okay, I don't know why, okay? Don't judge me, but I don't know why. But every time I have gotten myself to do something and to take massive amount of action, it has been when I have either A, been challenged by somebody, like somebody says like, you can't do that, or that can't be done. I'm just like, watch me. Okay? I don't know why I'm like this, okay? That's one way that I now know that that's what gets me to go. The other thing that gets me to go is when I've hit rock bottom. When I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get myself in a situation where I then say, enough is enough. When I can get myself in a situation where I'm like, that's it, I'm done, and I'm like doing something about it, guess what? That is when also I take massive amounts of action. So if I know that these are my triggers, things that might not be yours, okay? Go back and listen to my podcast, The Winning Formula. Everybody has a winning formula. There's something that gets you to get the results that you have gotten. And there are things that you do in a specific order that have you act, win a result in a certain way. Like anytime that if you're baking something, right? You got to put the ingredients in a specific amount, in a specific order to get a specific outcome. Every single one of us is the same. We all have these formulas that allow you to do that. So I want you to think about for yourself, okay? Let's talk about this for a second for you. I want you to think for a minute. When was the last time that you can remember that you created like massive results, or that you achieved something that you either A, didn't think it was possible, or people around you have come back to you and it's like, how did you do that? Think about a time that happened. And now think about what happened right before you made the decision. See, that's the word, decide to cut off, right? That's what it means. So when was the last time that happened? And what did you decide right before you took the action? What did you say to yourself? What did you do? What did others say to you? Where were you? What happened that had you just go? Okay, so number one, think about the last time that happened, a result, an outcome, something that created this specific result. And number two, what happened right before you decided to go? Now, the other thing I'm going to ask you to think about is this, and that is, what were the sequence of events, or what were the sequence actions that you took that allow you to have that kind of result? Okay, so for example, okay, I'm going to break this down for me. Okay, I'm going to give you an example for myself. So I was dating a guy, and he's a really nice gentleman, okay, but he had like OCD really, really bad. And so he was very compulsive about a lot of things. And so one of the things that he was very compulsive about was his weight and other people's weights, including mine. Okay. So he would always make little comments. And now, listen, I was not overweight, but yeah, I had bloating here and there. Things were like not always in their place. And I went to Europe and I came back. So, I went to Europe and I ate a lot of bread and wine and cheese. And I came back like with a few pounds on my beautiful body. Okay. And then he said this. He's like, and he looked down at my belly. And he's like, you really enjoyed yourself. He said something like that. I can't remember word for word. But I remember, luckily, you guys, I have a very good self-esteem. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but I can pretend like I am bulletproof, okay? So I looked up at him because he was really tall. I looked up at him and I said, yeah, I had a great time. Like if I didn't even notice that he was looking at my cute little roll love handle that I had created in Europe, okay? I brought back a little baggage. Okay, so my little baggage was cute and fluffy in my midsection. And so I pretended like I didn't even notice what he was saying, what he had just done. Then, whatever, things happened and I thought, you know what, this is not going to work. And so we ended up breaking up, okay, like a month later. When we broke up, okay, I couldn't get over the fact that because then he also told me one time, he said, I was weighing like 115 pounds, something around there. And I looked cute, okay? And he said to me, for someone your height, you should weigh like 105. And again, all sassy, I was like, really? No way, I don't want to ever be that skinny. And I really don't, okay? I like muscle. But anyway, so he said all these things, right? So when we broke up, I had like a little residue of all the things that he had said to me. So then one of my girlfriends says, hey, we should enter a bikini competition. And I was like, yes, let's do it. myself and two other girlfriends, we got online right away. This was the beginning of November, and we signed up in for the bikini competition in February, like November, December, January, February, 3 months out. Okay. This is how extreme your host here is. Okay. Now, if you know anything about bodybuilding or anything about bikini competitions, that is not enough time to get ready. But nevertheless, we signed up. So what happened was every time that so that's what happened. I signed up. So again, what happened? He said what he said. I told then they invited me to this bikini competition, and here's what I said, okay? So here again, these are my formulas. So that I said in my head, oh heck yes, I am going to do this bikini competition. I am going to rock myself on stage looking hot as can be, and I am going to invite him. Okay, that we were not talking. We didn't end on bad terms, okay? But we were not talking necessarily. But I could call him and he would have picked up. So I was like, and so guess what, you guys? Every time I didn't want to work out, every time I didn't want to do something, I would just think about the comments that he said. I would remember how he made me feel about my cute little baggage that I brought from Europe. I would remember and I would just think about the moment that I was on stage and he was watching me compete. And that was the drive for me. I was like, oh no, I'm going after it. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So something happened. He said what he said. Maybe it's not what somebody else said, but maybe you look at your bank account and you're like negative $10,000. I don't know, right? Or all of a sudden, your boss says what he says. It's like something happens and that all of a sudden you're like, enough is enough. You draw the line and then you say something to yourself that has you go. Think about that for yourself. If you're not doing it right now, as soon as this podcast is over, I beg you, I insist that you take the time to think about when was the last time that you created something ridiculous, extraordinary? Maybe it wasn't in your mind, but then other people were like, how did you do that? Right? Because sometimes when we're good at stuff, we sometimes underestimate our own power. And we don't realize, for example, I have a girlfriend, she can create manuals. Her brain just works like that. Listen, you could not pay me enough money to do a fantastic job doing that. My brain just doesn't work that way. Could I get it done? Yeah, but I would probably have to chat GPT it. But if you told me, Karla, create a manual with systems and rules and processes, and like I can think about the strategy, I can draw it out for you, but to actually put it all in writing in a binder and in a booklet or whatever, it's going to be really challenging for me to get it done. I would get it done, but it doesn't come natural to me. Versus her, it comes so natural that sometimes she doesn't, when she used to charge for those things, she would be like, oh, I don't know what to charge. I'm like, a lot of money, because that is a very specific skill set that many of us don't have. So I say, maybe other people told you, how did you do that? Because it comes natural to you, right? So like, think about it. So here I had my ex-boyfriend say what he said. Then my girlfriends were like, let's do this bikini competition. Now I could have been like, okay, no, yeah. But when they said that, boom, it triggered everything he had said to me. And I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like this is revenge time. Like there's nothing to revenge, but this is what I say to myself, okay? Like I'm going to go all in so I can invite him and he can watch me be on stage at 105 pounds, looking hot, sexy, and muscular, okay? These are the things I would tell myself. Then guess what happened? Let's take it a step further. My two girlfriends quit. They decided not to do they quit, okay? And so luckily for me, my best friend Xochitl, she was like, no, Karla, you go. Now, why didn't I quit? Why didn't I give up like they did, okay? And I'm not judging them. They had their reasons, okay? But why didn't I? Why did I keep going? By the way, I did get on stage. I'll tell you what happened. And I did invite him. I'll tell you what happened in a second. But like, why did I get on stage? Why was I able to follow through? Because all I had to do to not quit was remember what he said. And remember, I was like, I'm gonna get on stage and I'm going to invite him. Okay, now, is that healthy? I don't know, okay? But listen, that is what got me to keep going, was to prove him wrong, prove me right, and also prove to myself that I could do something that challenging. Like I never knew this about myself. I mean, like other people would be like, really, Karla, you never, no, I didn't really realize it until this year, how much I thrive off challenges. But the challenge can't be insulting. The challenge has to be either A, within myself, or other people saying things like, well, I don't know if that can be done. But if somebody like puts me down or says rude things, like even though those things were rude, he didn't say it in a rude way. He said rude things, but in a very kind way, which is what made me trigger. Because when somebody says something rude to me in a rude way, I have a tendency to just shut off. So I also know that about myself, right? I tell my husband all the time, if you want to tell me something, please don't yell, don't scream, don't insult me, just talk to me. Because when you talk to me, I open myself to listen, okay? So back to the channel. So here's what happened, right? So now I'm in the competition. I'm training for it. My 2 girlfriends quit. Why didn't I quit? Because I just kept thinking about what I wanted the day of the competition. Did I want to win? Kind of, but the biggest motivating factor was me being able to do something that was like, somebody's like, 3 months, Karla, that is not enough time. I'm like, well, I don't got nothing but time. I'm going to live at the gym, okay? So that's what kept me going. Number 1. Number 2, I surrounded myself with people that were supportive. Now, here's the deal. Maybe you are in an environment at work that you're like, well, I don't have that. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you don't have it, okay, listen up. Find it. Find it. Don't throw a pity party. Oh, my husband doesn't support me. My wife doesn't support me. My coworkers are toxic. Then guess what? I know maybe you can't quit. Maybe you can't get into a divorce. I'm not telling you to do any of that, but here's what I am telling you. Then find a group that can support you. Find a group that is going in the direction that you want to go. If you want to go to San Francisco, get in a bus where people are going to San Francisco. Don't get on a bus with people that are going to San Diego. Wrong direction. South, north, opposite directions. So if you don't have it, find it. Okay? Find it. And listen, come to our community at Wake Up and Unleash. We've got so many amazing things that you can be part of, whether it's our podcast or this YouTube channel. We have programs, masterminds, self-paced. There's something for you for sure. And if you're thinking, but I don't have the money, listen, we've got a self-paced program that is less than a cup of coffee a day, okay? It's not whether you have it or don't have it. It's, is it a priority for you in everything in life? So people could say, I don't have time to go to the gym. No. It's just not a priority to you because you could wake up earlier. I'm not a morning person. Then it's not a priority to you. They go work out at night. Oh, but then I can't sleep. Then it's not a priority to you. When you really want something, you will find a way to get it. I'm telling you, if you've never operated from that like mentality, I invite you to start operating from that mentality. Like if you really want something, find a way to get it. Okay? So that's what happened. I surrounded myself. So my girlfriends were very supportive, especially my girlfriend Xochitl. Anytime somebody wanted me to eat some chips or whatever, she's like, no, she's competing. And she was so supportive. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. She's like, go like this. And I'm like, what is it? It's like, eat air. And I would start laughing, right? And boom, it broke my patterns and broke my way of thinking. And I was like laughing and I was okay. So that's what I'm gonna tell you. So, okay, so let me finish telling you the story so you know what happened, okay? So, well, let me back it up first before I do that. So number 1, something happened, right? So first of all, I thought about my bikini competition. Then I thought, what happened that got me to say enough is enough? What were the sequence of events, sequence of thoughts that I had that allowed me to get that incredible result? So I want you to think about that for yourself. Think of an event. Think of a circumstance. Think of a situation where you were like, enough is enough. And that allowed you to think, act, and operate in a specific way that allowed you to have the result that maybe you never thought was possible or that other people told you was impossible. And you created this massive outcome all based on this sequence of events. Now, the event is going to change, but the sequence, the triggers, the thought patterns, the actions, the thought, like the rituals, the habits, the skill sets, they are kind of almost always the same for you. They will just, of course, change. If it's a workout, it's going to the gym. If it's building a business, it's going to the office, right? Like whatever the case may be. But like how would I say this? Like the circumstances might be different, but your internal dialogue, for the most part, it's pretty much the same. Okay, so let me tell you what happened in case you're wondering, okay? By the way, this is amazing. If you're listening to this, I don't know if he ever listens to this, okay? You're an amazing human being. That really cost me to create this amazing result in 3 months. Because when he said what he said, then we broke up, okay? Then what happened, we saw each other like 2-3 times again. And I made sure I looked super cute, right? And I made sure I wore super cute clothes that really revealed that I had lost that extra little pounds that I gained in Europe. And he did say, oh, you lost weight. Like that was like his thing, okay? So all those things triggered me. So what happened was I gave him a call like a week or so before my competition. And I called him and I said, hey, how are you? He's like, hey, how are you? Whatever, talking small talk. And I said, hey, I'm calling you because I want to invite you to something very, very special. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I am going to be competing. I'm doing a bikini competition on February, whatever, at this location. And he's like, what? No way. And I'm like, yeah. And I would love for you to be there because you were such a motivation for me to get this, for me to do this. He's like, really? And I was like, yes. And he's like, yes, of course I will be there. Such a great guy, right? So then I remember being there and I was like walking across the street. He drove a Porsche. And so I heard the Porsche go, and I'm like, oh my God, is that him? And it was. But I was like, don't look, Karla, keep walking, keep walking. And I was so like nervous and excited because I was like, okay, first of all, I was nervous because I hadn't seen him in a long time. And I was excited because I had achieved my outcome. Like the whole feeling of me being able to show him on stage, okay? He probably didn't even care, but it was all in my head. It's all that matters, okay? And I was not interested in getting back together with him, but it was one of those things that I was like, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I don't know why my head feels like this sometimes. But anyway, so then, I go on stage, I do my thing, I get off stage, and he's like, oh my gosh, Karla, you look amazing. And I'm like, thank you so much. And he's taking pictures of me and to give to his dad because his dad also was obsessed with weight. And I tell my sister-in-law, take pictures of him taking pictures of me. And because I wanted to capture that moment of the person that maybe he didn't even, the person that said something that triggered all of this. So afterwards, I gave him a hug and I thanked him for coming. And I said, hey, by the way, I want to thank you because you were a huge motivator for me to do this. And he's like, really? Oh my gosh, Karla. And I wanted to tell him why, but I didn't. And I just said, and I was like, I just want to thank you because a lot of the things that you said and who you were when we were dating really pushed me to be on stage today. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I was inspiring, right? He had no idea that it was the bad comments that he made that got me to be there. So anyway, we parted ways. I haven't seen him since. I haven't talked to him since, but it was such a great closure for me because I was like, I did it for myself, 99% of it, but that 1%, I ain't gonna lie, felt good to have him see me on stage and have him go back and tell his dad because his dad would also make little comments about my weight, okay? So it was just like, I just needed to close that little circle, okay? So I share all this with you because I want you to think about for yourself, like, are you feeling stuck? Or maybe you're feeling like, gosh, maybe I'm not stuck, but I know that I can do more. How do you get yourself to move and move forward? By not having necessarily to hit rock bottom, by not making yourself have your back against the wall. Like we can create thoughts and we can create situations in our mindset that allow us to get like those feelings, those thoughts, those that sensation of I gotta go, okay? And so I invite you to think about this for yourself. Like where in your life do you know that you can have a better, bigger, more powerful outcome than what you're currently living? Think about that for your body. What else can you do for your body, for your health? You guys, our body we got one. You can buy a new car. You cannot buy a new body. You can buy new body parts, okay? But you cannot buy a whole new body. This is it. This is it. And listen, I know because I've created some damage in my body by, eating a little too much of stuff that I shouldn't be eating or drinking too much stuff that I shouldn't be drinking. And now at the age that I am, it's like, it's not coming off as fast and as easy. And so I wish that I would have not done what I did a couple of years ago. Granted, I was not in a good space. And sometimes when we don't feel good, we just don't do good. So like, I invite you, don't wait to get to that situation. Don't wait to put yourself in that circumstance where you're like, oh my gosh, my blood pressure, my cholesterol, my diabetes, to get you to move. Let's start now and say, you know what? I am worth it. My body is worth it. I want to have more health. I want to have more energy. I want to have more vitality so that I can live this beautiful life like at a whole nother level. Same thing with your spirituality. Like, where are you? Are you connected to God? Are you like, wait, what God? Or are you connected to like a higher being, your spirituality, whatever that is for you, the universe, your higher source, Buddha, whatever it is for you. Are you connected to that? Because listen, we are not just a body. There is a soul, a spirit inside of this body. And we have to also take care of that. Your relationships. How are you doing with your relationship with your significant other, with your children, with your mother, with your father, with your siblings, with your cousins, with your friends? Like, do you have a quality group of people that you can lean on, that can support you, that can help you rise to your higher version of yourself, right? And like I said, if you don't have it, find it. Find it, okay? And last but not least, where are you in your business? How are you doing with your finances? Have you looked at your checking account lately? Where is it? Is it where you want it to be? How many more zeros, how many more commas do you want to put on there? Not just for the money, but for what it's going to take of you to generate that. Where are you with your business? Could you create more? Could you do more, right? Could you be more proactive? Like, where are you? Are you doing the things that you know you need to do to move your business and your finances forward? Are you protecting your assets? Like, all these things, so many times we have pending items that we know we need to get done, but we just don't do them. So I invite you today to stop and think, where am I with my body, my spirituality, my relationships, and my business? And where would I like to be? And what do I need to do, have, and more importantly, who must I become so that I can move forward towards those outcomes and towards those goals? Now, if there's anything that I could do to support you, reach out. And like I say all the time, I would love for you to share this podcast with somebody. If you're listening to this here on YouTube, please subscribe, right? Like it and subscribe, okay? But if you're listening to this on audio, share this with somebody, or on YouTube, share it with somebody. Say, hey, listen, I heard this, I thought of you, and share with 2 or 3 people that you know could benefit. I would so appreciate that. And like I say every single week, remember who you are and wake up and unleash into the person that you know you have inside. Have a blessed day.